Welcome, my friends, to the Purpose Institute. Today is December 31st, New Year's Eve. So, Happy New Year. You will probably hear in the background some noise because of, of the date, but that's okay. It shouldn't disturb us too much. So, let's get to the point. Today, I wanted to talk about something which in my opinion is the biggest clue, and I call it the biggest clue, the TBC, which is a human adaptability. The amount of flexibility human body has, it's stunning when you compare it to with other animals. And there's some aspect and a relationship between those features that I wanted to discuss and give you a pointer why I think that's the biggest clue. So humans perform pretty well in almost all environments on Earth. Like, there's virtually no environment in which we cannot perform and survive. There are, of course, some extreme exceptions, like for any other species, but mostly we can live on the water, we can go underwater, we can live in the forest, plains and mountains, and we still have pretty good amount of capabilities we can apply in those environments. So today I wanted to be a little bit more specific and let's talk about numbers because those numbers are quite telling. Let's start with running, like short runs, 100 meters, 100 yards, this kind of a distance. And we would say, well, people are not that good. But let's take a look at the numbers. And I'll post the numbers in the description for this video so you can have them, you will have them for your reference. So, of course, there are animals that are absolutely much faster than humans, like Cheetah. And Cheetah can run roughly 60 to 70 miles per hour. However, there are animals that use running and walking and running as their only mode of locomotion. And they have comparable speeds to humans. And I have some examples here, like a domesticated cat, for example. So the fastest speed for a domesticated cat would be roughly 30 miles per hour. And for a human, that would be maybe 28 miles per hour. Same ballpark. They are not much faster than humans. The Warthog would be similar to that, so roughly 30 miles per hour. And we have those wild pigs and other animals. They will cluster around humans. And we have animals that are slower than humans when they use bipedal locomotion, like chimpanzees, for example. They can run on two legs, if we can call it that, at speeds roughly 5 to 10 miles per hour. So they are not that fast compared to humans. But running, it's kind of natural for humans. So there's no surprise here. Another very interesting example would be running long distances, and this is, my friends, really interesting. So we think that long distance running would be tough for humans, and animals like horses, for example, would be much better than humans. And they are better on average. They are better, but there's a race in Wales that and it's a very, very interesting race, because humans and horses run together. And this race started in, I think, 1980s, somewhere there. And usually horses win those races. But out of, starting from 2000 up till now, we had 25 races, because it's an annual event. And 5 of those races were won by humans. So they won with horses. And of course, it depends on the terrain. Different terrain will favor either humans or horses. But there's a race which is 21, 22 miles long, ran together with horses, horses with humans, and humans won 5 times out of 25 times recently. So we are not completely useless when it comes to long distance running. I would say we are pretty good at it. And for horses, running long distances is the primary mode of locomotion, right? There's no argument there. And you have a short description in my under my video, so you can take a look. Even there's a short video showing this race. All right, let's go back to chimpanzees, because we won with them in terms of fast running. They are not that good, and I'm not talking about all fours, just bipedal running. But how about climbing? I'm sure everyone would say that climbing chimpanzees are much better than humans. Okay. Well, it's not true. The fastest speed observed in nature for chimpanzees would be 1.7 meters per second, climbing vertically. And for humans, for male athletes, elite level athletes, that would be 3.2 meters per second, 10.6 foot per second, and for chimpanzees 5.6 foot per second. So there's like almost 2 times, humans are 2 times faster than chimpanzees. Of course, trained humans, but it's still possible. We can get to those levels if we adopt, right? If we train, if we unpack this feature. But I'll talk about it later. So climbing, we are better than chimpanzees. And there are some tribes. I couldn't find any videos or better descriptions, but apparently there's a tribe in Africa, and they are called Mbengele, if I'm not butchering this name. I hope it's close to the original name. So those guys, they climb trees because they forage. They basically collect honey and probably fruits and other stuff. And people who observe them, they tell that they achieve similar speeds to monkeys. They just adopted to this lifestyle. They can climb. For average person, that would be not really an easy thing to do, but for them it is. And again, an example of humans adopting to unknown environment. Okay, let's switch to water. So water, free diving. You would say, well, we're not that good, and obviously we cannot be better than water animals. And it's not true. We are better than otters, we are better than walrus, and we are better than or close to king penguin. So otters can dive to roughly 330 feet, walrus 300 feet, king penguin 448 feet, and humans, the data I got here is 406 feet. So it's the same ballpark. No big difference. Of course, there are animals that can dive much deeper than that, but there are water animals that dive at the similar level to humans. All right. How about swimming? We would say, well, we are clumsy swimmers, and it's true. Like there are animals that are much faster swimming on the surface, like dolphins, for example, or sharks. But there are also animals like penguins that are slower than humans. For example, emperor penguin swims at 4 miles per hour and human at 4.7 miles per hour. And gray whale 5 miles per hour. So water animals versus human. Human is definitely not a water animal, and still comparable levels. We can also talk about environments. So, cold environments, snow, mountains, jungle, all this stuff. I don't want to discuss it in this video. I will make a separate video about this stuff. So we will focus on environmental conditions and human adoption. Okay. So why does it matter? Why this flexibility is so important from the purpose point of view? And this is, it's difficult, so I want you to focus. When you design something, and if it's not a really very simple device, you almost always have conflicting requirements. What does it mean? Well, it means that, for example, you want to have a very powerful engine, and you want to have fuel efficiency. Those are conflicting requirements. Powerful engine will probably not be fuel efficient, right? So usually you have to play with those two requirements and make a compromise. And pay attention, because I think this is very important. Make a compromise. So powerful engine, fuel efficiency, you have to compromise somewhere. And when you put together complicated designs, achieving single requirements is not a big deal. Usually, yeah, you can design a powerful engine, you can design a big battery, you can design low pressure pump or something like that. But if you have many requirements packed in one design, that's a nightmare, because you have to make a lot of compromises, right? You have to take 2, 3, 4, 7 different requirements and pack them within a single machine in such a way that this machine performs the task you design it for. So I think the way how you compromise tells you what's the final purpose for this machine. The way how you compromise. So not only the features, the single features you have, but how you compromise between different features and which ones are a little bit exaggerated and which ones are minimized. This kind of thinking. So the compromise, where the line is set between two or more conflicting requirements, tells us the real purpose. So to give you an example, if you want to have a powerful car, like a racing car, and have a fuel efficiency, right? Racing car fuel efficiency, you would probably make this fuel efficiency very small priority, and you will probably build a big, powerful engine. However, if you want to have a powerful engine for a delivery truck, for example, right, then the fuel efficiency and the power of the engine will be compromised differently, because well, the cost matters in this case, right? So the line between those two requirements will be moved a little bit to the other side. So when you look at the design and certain features, how those requirements are put together matters more than single features. So in humans, it's achieved in a stunning way. The way how we dive, the way how we climb mountains, is not that we have those things built in our bodies. We have to unpack them, right? So if you want to climb fast, you have to train. And by training, you change the software, the neuroadaptation takes place, and you have to change hardware, so muscular adaptation has to take place. So you unpack this feature. So you don't have to compromise the same way you would compromise when you design a car. You just build backup mechanisms or hidden mechanisms, and then when needed, those mechanisms can be unpacked and used. And what's amazing, when you don't use them, they dissolve. And you don't have to compromise anymore, right? Because this particular requirement is not important. So that's fantastic. This is absolutely stunning. So it's another aspect of human design, that we have those hidden features. The same with a diving reflex, right? People normally don't dive, and they're not good at diving at all. But if they start doing it, the body will adapt, and at some point you can achieve many minutes underwater. You can go hundreds of feet underwater. You can dive deep. You can dive long, because your body is capable of unpacking this feature and then packing it back if it's not needed. So I gave you 2 or maybe 3 pointers in this video. First of all, we can thrive in almost all environments on planet Earth. Yeah, so the designer wanted us to be very versatile. There's no other species that comes even close to that. The second pointer is that certain things are preferred, right? I would say we have a preference for long distance efforts. That's probably true. And however, we can also adopt to high intensity efforts as well. But I would say the preference. So the compromise between short burst of energy and low intensity effort is probably pushed towards long intensity efforts in humans. That's a second hint. And the third hint is that we can unpack and pack back certain features, like diving reflex, like endurance. Yeah, we can train for marathons, and then we can stop and it will dissipate. So those are very important clues. I put them under a single umbrella that I called the biggest clue, the TBC. And we'll make videos that will try to interpret those facts. So today I gave you the facts I think are important, and we will make another video that talks about interpretation of those facts and what I think what are the implications for the final purpose. So thank you very much. Happy New Year. See you soon. And think about the biggest clue.